Hey guys, welcome to another video on this channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at the JVC MX GT700, JVC MX GT80, and JVC MX GT90. Now I know there are more JVC GIGATUBE systems, but these three systems have the most in common. And, well, they're the only three GIGATUBE systems I have, so these are the three I'm going to compare. So anyways, yes, this is the JVC MX GT700. This is the lowest end GIGATUBE out of the three we're taking a look at today. So on the speakers of the GT700, you'll notice that there's a cover over the subwoofer. This is an 8-inch subwoofer, and you'll notice the dust cap is this foam material. It looks like foam, I'm not really sure if it is foam. Then just above the subwoofer, you'll notice the 3.5-inch mid-range, then also what appears to be the 2.5-inch tweeter. Where the GT700 is a little different compared to the next two we're looking at is the subwoofer. It is mounted on the front instead of in the middle, so this means this is just basically a regular ported system, and the next two systems are bandpass systems. I'll go more into depth on the bandpass systems later, but for now we're focusing on the GT700. What you see on screen right now is a diagram of how the GT700 is on the inside. So again, the subwoofer is mounted on the front, and then you have the empty enclosure, and then the GIGATUBE on the top. Then just above that, you'll notice the GIGATUBE. This is the port system on all three of the systems we're looking at today. Now moving away from the speakers, let's move on to the amp. On the very top of the amp, you'll notice the CD player. Mine is broken sadly, so I can't actually show you what it looks like, but basically it's a carousel system, so you're able to eject it, and then you can use the disc change button on the top, and you can spin the carousel to change what CD you want. Then below that you'll notice the three knobs on the right side of the system. The top one is sound mode, the middle one with the reflective part around the outside is the volume knob, and the bottom one is the subwoofer level. There are no manual EQs on the GT700, so you're stuck with the preset ones. I keep it on Stadium most of the time. When we get to the sound demo, all three of the systems will be on Stadium. The volume on the system goes up to 31. And there are 4 different subwoofer levels. Then right beside the volume knob you'll notice the cancel/demo button, the set button, the clock/timer button, and the display button. The top one does just as it says, it cancels the demo mode on the system. The set button allows you to apply changes that you've made. Just below that you'll notice the clock/timer button. This allows you to change the time on the system, so this displays when you turn the system off, and you can also set a timer. Then just below that, the display button lets you choose what type of display mode you want, so you can have it either display what mode you're on, or you can have it display the clock. I typically keep this on what mode I'm in. Then below those 4 buttons you'll notice the preset, tuning, and stop button. The preset lets you move through the tracks on a CD, tuning lets you change the stations on FM or AM mode, and the stop button lets you stop a CD from playing or the tape. Then below the screen, you'll notice the 4 buttons that say aux, AM/FM, CD, and tape. This lets you select what mode you would like to be in. Then below those, you'll notice the headphone jack, which allows you to use that as the audio output instead of the speakers. Then you also notice little buttons like repeat, program, random, CD record, start, and stop, and dubbing. Then just beside that, you'll notice tape A and tape B buttons. This lets you switch between what tape deck you want to be played. Speaking of that, just below those buttons are the tape players. I don't have any tapes to test them, so I don't know if they work. You'll also notice on that it'll say the total power, which is 330 watts, and on the right side you'll notice some marketing. The wattage, by the way, is 330 watts, with 55 of those watts going to both of the main speakers and tweeters, and 110 of those watts going to the subwoofers. The mid-range in this system, by the way, is 4 ohms, and the rest of the speakers are 6 ohms. So that's it for the specs on the JVC MX GT700. Let's move on to a sound demo. Alright, so now you know the specs of the system and you know how it sounds. What do I personally think of it? Well, we're going to do a rating system for this. So I'm going to give all these systems a score out of 10. So me personally, I give this system a 5.5 out of 10. So yeah, I gotta be honest with you guys, the system really just isn't that great. Although it may look nice, the sound quality is just so-so. So let's start with the good. The bass is pretty good on this thing, I'm not gonna lie. The bass is nice and punchy, and it gets the job done. The tweeter is also really good. It's one of the better JVC tweeters in my opinion. I also like how the mid is 4 ohms. You don't typically see this on many systems, so it's pretty cool that it has a 4 ohm mid. I also like how it's not too heavy, so it's not too hard to lug around if you ever need to. Alright, so there's some of the stuff that I like about the system. Now let's move on to the stuff that I don't like about the system. The first thing is the mid. The mid is pretty bad on the system, and when you turn it up, it starts to distort, and it really doesn't sound that good. It could be something with the amp, since the amp outputs 4 ohms. Maybe if you had a better 4 ohm amp for the mid, it would sound better. But as it is, the mid is just not good. Now the next one on this list is kind of a subjective thing. You might like this and some don't, but I personally don't like the screen on it compared to the other two. I just don't like how small it is. I like the bigger screens on the higher end models. I also don't really like the carousel CD system. I think the tray system on the GT80 and the GT90 is just a better implementation of it. I also don't like how there's no manual EQs. Why is there no manual EQ?
This should be something that should be on every system. Manual EQ.
I now have 3 mini systems without a manual EQ. Just why? Why do you not have a manual EQ? This should be standard. I also don't like the push to eject the tape players. You don't know how many times I've accidentally opened the tape player just by accidentally like brushing up against it or something. It's so annoying, and I much prefer the button system on the higher end models. There is what I like about the system, and there is what I dislike about the system. My final score for it is a 5.5 out of 10, as I said before. It's an alright system, and if you can find one for cheap, then I guess go for it and try it out. But I definitely wouldn't pay any more than $50 for one of these. Alright, so there is part 1 of this video done. If you like to click off and take a snack break or something, I don't blame you. This was a long segment. Let's move on to the second part, which is the JVC MX GT80. Alright, welcome back from your break, everyone. I hope you had a good break. I hope you actually took a break instead of just skipping forward in the video, because if you skip forward in the video, then you defeated the purpose of the break. But, I mean, who am I to tell? I can't know what you did, so whatever. Anyways, we're on to the JVC MX GT80 now. Let's get right into it. So the GT80 sits right in the middle between the GT700 and the GT90, but honestly, it is my personal favorite GIGATUBE. I'm just putting that out there. I'm going to explain why later in this video, of course, but I'm just putting that out there right now that it is my personal favorite GIGATUBE. So you'll notice on the GT80, this is the first system we're taking a look at today that actually has a port for the woofer. So there is a separate enclosure for the woofer, and basically you can feel the air that comes out of the port, and it does what a port does, but it's for the little woofer driver. So just above that little port, you'll notice the 2-inch tweeter, and just to the left of that, you'll notice the 4-inch woofer driver. Then just below all that, you'll notice the 6.5-inch subwoofer driver, but it's a little sunken into the system with plexiglass in front of it. So basically, this system is a 4th order bandpass system, meaning behind the driver, it is a little sealed enclosure, and in the front of the driver, it is the ported enclosure. And of course, just like the GT700, all of the air comes out of the GIGATUBE on the top of the system. So now moving away from the speakers, on the top of the amp you'll notice the 3 CD trays. So as I said just a little bit ago, I do prefer this over the carousel design. Honestly, I just think it's more intuitive. Like, you have 3 CD trays, and then you basically just eject the CD tray that you want. Simple as that. You don't need the fancy spinning carousel or anything. It's just eject the CD that you want, and then put it in, and then close it. It's just simple, and I like that. Then below that, you'll notice the 4 knobs on the system. The top one is the knob that you use to switch between the tracks in a CD. The middle one changes the sound mode on the system. By the way, there is 3 manual EQs on this one. Yes, thank you. Then just below that, there is the subwoofer level knob. There is 4 different subwoofer levels you can choose from. And then, of course, there is the volume knob. The volume goes up to 31. You'll also notice the knobs are backlit with the red LED. There is some systems, like the international versions, that are backlit with some different colors, but those are a lot more uncommon, and most of the time you'll see the red backlight. Then just above the volume knob, you'll notice the 2 buttons. These are the tuning buttons, which allow you to change through the stations on the AM and FM modes. Then just below the screen, you'll notice the 5 buttons. These say aux, FM/AM, CD, tape, and stop. The stop button lets you stop the CD or the tape from playing, and the 4 buttons to the left of the stop button are what lets you change between the modes on the stereo. Then below those, you'll notice the clock/timer button, repeat program and random button, and tape A/B, reverse mode, and record start/stop buttons. And then of course you have your headphone jack. Then below your headphone jack, you'll have your tape decks. Again, I don't have any tapes to test them with, so I have no idea if they work. But of course, there's a sticker on it. The left side says the total power of the system, which is 350 watts. And on the right, you have your marketing. Speaking of the total wattage, yes, it is 350 watts, 55 watts going to each of the mids and highs, and 130 watts going to each of the subwoofers. All of the drivers in the system are 6 ohms. Alright, so that's all the technical details on the JVC MX GT80. Let's move on to a sound demo of it.
I'll break through to get to you. It's so true. I see.
Alright guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that little sound demo between the JVC MX GT700 and the JVC MX GT80. Definitely let me know which one you guys think won that battle down below in the comments. But right now, I'm about to give my opinions on the JVC MX GT80. So just like last time, I'm gonna give you a final score for the GT80, and my final score is a 9 out of 10. So this is a pretty big jump from the 5.5 out of 10 score for the GT700. Okay, let me explain why I like the JVC MX GT80 so much. Let's start with the good. So the first good thing is the bass. This is going to be a common trend throughout all of these, but the bass on all of them is just so good. I mean, that's what these systems were built to do, and they do it just great. But the GT80 does it a little better than the other two, in my opinion. It has high bass, it has low bass, it has punchy bass. It's a great all-in-one experience, and it's just a really beefy 6.5-inch sub. I also like both the mid and the highs in this system. They are just great sounding, they get nice and loud. Every speaker in this system is good. It's a very, very well-rounded system. So if you're in there for the sound quality, I highly recommend the GT80. And of course, another good thing is the tray CD mechanism. I love the tray mechanism that they use on the GT80. It's just, in my opinion, it's just much better than the carousel. Another thing fixed from the GT700 is the tape decks. So instead of a push to eject, it is a button system. So you push the button and it pops out for you. So it makes it a lot less easy to like accidentally like brush it up against something and like accidentally open the tape drawer. I really like it. Wow, is there even anything bad about the system? I'm trying to think about the bad now, but it's hard. The port noise, it's definitely noticeable. This could just be my system because the foam in the port is kind of like deteriorating, so that could be why there's a little bit of port noise. On the system I have, at least, there is a little bit of port noise, so that could be counted as a bad thing, I suppose. I also don't really like the weight. It's quite a bit heavier than the GT700, so if you're planning on moving this thing around a lot, this could be an issue. So yeah, there's what I like, and there's what I don't like about the GT80. My final score for the GT80 is a 9 out of 10. This is a great all-rounder system, and I highly recommend it. It's really hard to think of anything that's really bad about it. It has really solid bass, and the mids and highs are nice and loud and clean. What more could you want? I don't know what else to say. So anyways, with that being said, let's take another break before we move on to the JVC MX GT90. Alright, welcome back from your break. I hope you had a good break. Let me know what you did on your break down in the comments below. I'm very interested to know. But anyways, without further ado, let's get right into the JVC MX GT90. So the JVC MX GT90 sits at the highest end of the range of the GIGATUBE systems, but is it really the best? Well, we're gonna find that out today. So starting with the speakers, you'll notice we're keeping the port for the woofer on the GT90. Then just above that little port, you'll notice the 2-inch tweeter, along with a 4-inch woofer driver. Then just below all that, you'll notice the beefy 8-inch subwoofer driver. Again, it's sunken into the enclosure a little bit. The GT90 is also a 4th order bandpass, just like the JVC MX GT80. So again, what you're seeing on your screen right now is the diagram for the GT80 / the GT90. I can literally just use the same exact diagram because it's basically the same exact speaker. The GT90 is just kind of like an upscaled version of the GT80. Then all of the air comes out of the GIGATUBE on the top of the system, just like the previous two. Alright, so moving away from the speakers now, let's move on to the amp. You'll notice we're keeping the 3 trays for the CD mechanism instead of the carousel. Thank you JVC for keeping the tray on this system. The trays are just much better. I've just always liked the tray system much better. It's a lot easier to use and it's a lot more intuitive to use. Where it differs from the GT80 a little bit is that this is kind of like a gold or reflective color versus the GT80, which is just a silver. You also notice this where the mode buttons are and where the tape decks are. Then below that, you'll notice the 4 knobs once again, just like the GT80. Instead, except for the silver on the edge, it is the reflective shiny material around the edge of the knobs. So again, the top one is to change between the CD tracks. The middle one is to change the sound mode. Again, we're keeping the 3 manual EQs. And on the bottom, it is a subwoofer level. There is 4 different subwoofer levels, just like the GT80. And then below all of those buttons and mode buttons, of course, you have the tape decks, just like the GT80, except for, again, this has this more of a silver reflective color on it. And on the tape decks, you'll notice 2 stickers once again. The left side says 460 watts total power, and on the right side, you'll have some marketing. Speaking of wattage, yes, the system has 460 watts, with 70 watts going to each of the mids and highs, and 160 watts going to each of the subwoofers. All of the drivers in this system are 6 ohms. Alright, so that about does it for the technical details on the JVC MX GT90. Let's move on to a sound demo of it.
Everybody gets high sometimes.
Alright guys, welcome back. Which speaker do you guys think won? Let me know in the comments below. I am very curious to see what you guys think won. Anyways, let's give the JVC MX GT90 a rating, shall we? So my rating for the JVC MX GT90 is a 7 out of 10. So the GT90 is about 2 points less than the JVC MX GT80. Let me get into why I think that. So first of all, let's start off with the good. The mids and highs are very clean sounding. They are probably one of the cleanest sounding out of all of these systems so far. The bass is so deep. This is a huge plus for me, as I really like the low deep bass that like rattles stuff off the walls and stuff. So personally, I think this system is very good at that. It also does high bass fairly well, but not as good as the GT80. Also, this next one is a little bit subjective, but I really like how the amp looks with the metallic kind of reflective material they have for parts of it. I think that looks so good. Alright, so now let's move on to the bad. So as I was saying earlier, the bass gets nice and low and there's a little bit of high bass. Well, there isn't as much high bass as the GT80, and the punchy bass is basically non-existent. So this system is mainly low bass focused, so if you're looking for a system that's more all around, this system is definitely not for you. Also, the mids and highs are very quiet, especially compared to the other two on this list. Also, again, the weight and the size of this thing, it is a huge thing. It is a beast of a system, so lugging this thing around is gonna be a pain. Trust me, trust me, I had to take this thing in and out of the house 3 times to get the shots needed for this video, so please like this video, because this was I went a lot of work into this video. So yeah, that's about it for the pros and the cons of this system. Again, my score for this system is a 7 out of 10, so it isn't exactly my favorite GIGATUBE, but if you want nice low bass that rattles everything off the walls, if you're that type of person, then this system is definitely for you. Trust me, this system will absolutely fill that need for low deep bass. But personally, the winner for this competition is the GT80 for me. Huge round of applause to the GT80. The GT80 is just the perfect all-around system. The mids and highs are nice and clean and loud, and the bass just hits every aspect of bass that you'd want. And honestly, if you're looking for a balanced system, it's hard to go wrong with the JVC MX GT80. So yeah guys, we have made it to the end of the video. Congratulations once again. Congrats on making it to the end. I hope you did enjoy this video, but before we end it, of course, there's a few shoutouts that I would like to give. Guys, take it away.
Hey, what's up guys? Subscribe to Mathew A.c.d.e and for more Sony GT80 Audio Sound. Panel speaker boy, let's go.
Oh, okay guys, okay, yeah, okay. Alright, we got all that out of the way now. Okay. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely crush the like button. That'll mean the world to me. Also, hit the giant red subscribe button. It is the 3rd biggest subscribe button on all of YouTube. I have too many channels at this point. I can't even keep track of how many channels I have. I think it's the 3rd biggest though. It's the 3rd biggest. Anyways, yes, hit the subscribe button. That'll mean the world to me. But anyways, I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video.
Shoot you right down.